Gladiator cold air intake saga continues. I think I have all the parts now. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Robmotive JT. And that's right, the Jeep Gladiator cold air intake, the Air Raid cold air intake saga continues. You know, I did a video a few days ago. I was all gung-ho going to install this cold air intake, and I didn't have all the parts that I needed. So I contacted Air Raid, and they were very helpful, no arguments, and they did send me the parts. And I will say they arrived in 2 days. So what I've got down here, these are the parts that they sent. The lid, you know, pretty important. And then a bunch of fasteners and stuff, and even some more fasteners and stuff. And what they did, they sent me a whole new installation kit as far as the fasteners go. So I have way more than enough now. Anyway, we're going to go ahead and continue on with the pre-install. In other words, getting the cold air intake ready to put on the Gladiator, just to make sure I do indeed have everything and it goes smoothly before I actually take the existing one off. All right, let's go ahead and pick up with the next step, and that is the cover, the little Air Raid plastic cover, I guess, that goes in the top right here. Now, it goes in like this, just bolts in through those holes. One thing that I noticed, again, quality, the hole's a little big. It will line up once you get the screw holes in, but it's going to look something like that with a bigger gap at the top than the bottom. And also, if you notice, the hole's not cut perfectly. Just a little quality issue. Not enough for me to put a halt to the installation, but still could have been done a little bit better. I mean, come on, man. So we have the hardware over here. I'm going to go ahead and bolt it in. Just bolts in through these two holes, and then we'll pick up with the next part. All right, we've got it installed in there. You can see this little gap here I was talking about. One thing you want to make sure you put the window in the right way, depending on how you want it. I want the word, if you will, Air Raid right there, to be read like this when it's in the truck, like that. So make sure you don't turn it around the other way or it'll be facing the other direction. Now, next up, we have to put the air filter on the cover that we didn't have before, which we do now. So we need the lid, obviously, and then we need the sleeve, whatever you want to call this, big giant grommet. We'll just call it a sleeve. And then we need a clamp, a hose clamp. So the filter's here. It is the non-oiled version. It's going to go on this edge right here and then be clamped down on one side. So we'll do that next. Okay, just to clarify, the clamp that clamps the filter onto the cover here actually is already on the filter. So we don't need to use one of the ones that came with the kit. However, the clamp that you need to clamp on the coupling is a number 64 that does come with the kit. So just to clear that up, we're going to go ahead and put the filter on this side with its existing clamp, and then we'll clamp the coupling on the other side with this number 64. So this should be pretty easy to do, and it's very easy to do when you're outside of the unit like I am. You should just be able to slip it right down over the lid and then just tighten up the clamp. You don't want to go crazy tightening up the clamp, but obviously tight enough so that you're gonna be able to hold the filter on there. So I got to loosen it up a little bit. It is too tight on the filter now. And let's make sure we get it loose enough. Hopefully it works. That'd be a drag. Alright, let's see if we can push this on yet. Nope, still too tight. So I'm going to loosen it way up. Matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and pull it off. And then I'm going to, what I'll call, dry fit the filter on there without the clamp on it, and then we'll pull it off just to loosen it up a little. It's not really necessary. You see it went on there pretty easy. So I'm going to go ahead, put it on just like that, put the clamp back on, tighten it down, and then we'll put the coupling on the other side. All right, through much frustration, I got the lid on, or the cover. Now, a couple of things to note. It seems Air Raid's quality has dropped a bit, at least from the other one that I had. Their holes for these bolts or screws did not line up exactly right, nor did this one thread in properly. I really had to crank on this, and there was quite a bit of grinding noise to get it in. But I got it in. The bad thing is when you want to change the filter, and this is the only thing I don't like about the Air Raid setup, you actually have to pull the air intake off because you have to remove these 4 bolts so you can pull the filter out. Not a real great setup. Should be accessible from the top, in my opinion. Now, one other quality thing to note, if you look at the gap around the edge of the cover here, it's obviously not even. But even worse is when you look in, and I don't know if you guys, yeah, you can see the silver in there. That is actually the hose clamp for the filter on the inside. Notice how we're tighter down here. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. And then bigger up here. So it doesn't fit perfectly, nor can you tighten it down anymore because the areas where you screw into kind of jut up a little bit. So it's as tight as it can get. I wish it were sealed fully, and it should be, in my opinion. Is it a big deal? I don't know. Is it really airtight anyway? Well, of course not. I mean, on the bottom you do have some holes here as well, so obviously it's not going to be airtight no matter what, but still a little bit lacking in the quality area, I think. So next I need to go ahead and pull the cold air intake, not this, off of my Jeep. That involves disconnecting the MAV sensor, which will relocate in the tube right over here. Make sure you're real careful with that. I did disconnect the battery. It's been disconnected for probably an hour. So we have to pull the MAV sensor, loosen these 2 clamps, and then pull off the vacuum hose here, and then over here on the side, remove this little bolt that holds this air intake in, and then we should be free, able to pull the whole thing out as one unit how it is. So we're going to do that next. I'll actually pull the MAV sensor, I think, and get that seated properly. Now, to do that, it just pulls out of there. You twist and pull. You want to make sure, and this is where a lot of people have problems, you know, when they get that air code on their screen. You want to make sure it's located the same way, that it's oriented the same way it is here. I've actually marked mine, that's what this green is, to show where the top of it is. So I want to pull it out and then stick it in here so that the blade in there is up and down the same way. That is critical so that the air flows over it and the computer system gets a proper reading and you don't have any error messages. So I'm going to do that next, and then we'll move on. All right, pulling the sensor off, you want to disconnect it. There's just a little push-in pin kind of thing here on the side. Should be able to squeeze that in and pull, just like that. That removes the connection from the Jeep itself. Now, to remove the MAV sensor, in my case, it should twist. There's a little nub over here. It should twist around this way and pull right out. But there you go. That's how it pulls out. There's what the sensor looks like, this pesky little thing. So now, while I've got everything up here, I'm actually going to go ahead and put it in so I can orient it the right way. There is no little gapping or little nub on the new one here as compared to this one. So you just kind of shove it straight in and make sure it's oriented just like this. That's how you want it to go in. Get it in the frame so you can see it just like that. There you go. So I should be able to just push that sucker in there. Hopefully. It is a rather tight fit. I'm going to do that actually at the table, but you get the idea, and you want it to go all the way in up to the green, I believe. So I'm going to work on that a minute, make sure I get it in there right, and then we'll get the rest of this unit off. Alright, I've gone ahead and removed the little screw over here. That's what held the S&B steady there. So, next up, let's go ahead and pull the vacuum line. Should just squeeze in this little push-in thing here, whatever you call it, and pull it off. I think it's a two-hand job though, so I'm going to set you guys down and use two hands. Okay. There we go. It indeed was a two-hand job. Now, all I have left to do is loosen the hose clamps here. And I should be able to pull that sucker out of there. That's the plan anyway. Let's go ahead and do that. Actually, I only have to loosen one, the one that holds it on to the throttle body, of course. And I think that should be it. So, let's see if I can pull this off. Should be able to. And then there's two little feet over here in the bottom that hold this in. That pulls up pretty easily. That should be it. And that is it. So that takes the S&B cold air intake out. The other one, I'm gonna set the airbox part in first, and then we'll go ahead and connect the tubing from there, just to make sure everything fits nice and snugly. But before that, there is a little kind of a piece that goes in here. It's kind of a little holder for this unit as well. Looks like this. Screws in through that same hole over here, like this way, I believe, if I remember. Like so, and then screws in through the inside of the box, which should be interesting, to keep the box from moving around. So we'll install this part next, and I'll show you once I have it in there. Alright, I put the rubber grommet or boot, whatever you want to call this thing, inside. It does go in the second hole, so from the outside towards the fender, it goes in the second hole. You may have a bolt in there already. I just moved it out here to the outside. And then we'll screw into this, the hole here, inside of the box itself, right through here, with this littler screw, it turns out. There are 2 feet on the bottom of this. You can see there the feet that we put in the other video. You do have to screw those in. They are going to plug in right down here to the little grommets that are inside. That's to keep it steady. And make sure that when you pull out your cold air intake, especially if you have stock, that these don't pull out. If they do, you just need to reseat them. They just sit right down in here, pretty simple. But make sure that they don't come out. So next, I'll set the box in there, and then we'll screw the screw into the side. I'll show you what that looks like when I'm done. And then we'll be ready to connect up the tubing and run on up to the throttle body. Alright, I've got the screw in. You can see it right there. And let me tell you, that's a bear, because unless you have teeny tiny hands, it's very difficult to get the right angle and get that thing screwed in so that you have this grommet tightened up. I did get it in. Took me about 5 minutes to get that in, but that's it. Now we're seated in there nice and firm the way it's supposed to be. So we just need to connect up the tubing and reconnect the hose and the nav sensor there, and we'll be golden. Alright, got the clamps on. Got one sitting up here waiting to receive the big end. That's what we'll call it. So I'm going to go ahead and stuff that in there. There we go. And then we want to maneuver this one onto the throttle body. It shouldn't be too hard. There we go. And I think that's pretty good. Actually, I'm going to move these clamps up a little bit so they're not resting on the throttle body right over here. I have another one down here that I have prematurely tightened, I guess. I'm going to rotate it up so it sits up here too. And then down here, we're going to go ahead and tighten the clamp around the hose, or the tube rather. And then I should be able to go ahead and put the rest in. We'll be back. Okay, it is done. You guys can take a look there. That's what it looks like. There's the air raid window facing the right way, I might add. Nice and stable in there. Have the MAV sensor hooked up. Hoses are tight. I'm kind of doing this as a checklist for myself. Vacuum hose is on. Hose clamps are tight. And the little shock bumper, I'll call it here, is fastened in. Lid is obviously in, or not really lid, but window. Filter, of course, is on the inside. And that is it. Now we're going to jump in the Jeep. We're going to take a ride. I have a before with the S&B on and an after with this one on. Let's see what it sounds like. Okay, here is the before cold start. Really nothing, just a normal startup, I think. And now the after, just a cold start. Didn't notice much there. Let's go for a ride. Okay, got the air turned off. We're going to take off from a stop. But first, here's the before. Here we go. And then a little bit of acceleration right here. There you go. Now we'll have the air raid sound. You can hear a little bit of noise, a little bit of grumble in there, which is just what I'm looking for. Nothing overpowering or overbearing. Now we're going to take a left, and I'm going to get on it a little bit here from a slower speed right here. There you can hear from a slower takeoff. Now let's slow down, and I'm going to get on it right here. Have a listen. I'd say it makes a little bit of noise. It's not crazy loud, but you're not going to mistake it. I mean, in the cab here, it does make a bit of noise. Let's. I'm going to turn around and do that again because I found it so pleasant. Here we go. Just kind of backing up. Whoa, baby. Okay. I like it. The difference between it and the S&B cold air intake, the S&B, as hopefully you could hear, was a little bit more subtle, a little bit more subdued. Don't get me wrong, it's not like this one is crazy loud or anything. It really isn't. But when you get on the gas, it does talk back to you a little bit, and I like that. At a steady speed, I've got the air on now, so you can probably hear that, but here I am, we'll get up to speed, but let her shift. There you go. Now I'm just driving at a normal speed, and you really can't hear anything, which is what I want. I don't want something that's, really overbearing or crazy. So not really a big deal. I like it. I really do. I had liked this one all along. The reason I went with the S&B was because it had the window. Still get some noise out of the S&B, don't get me wrong. But I really do dig this one as well. Anyway, that is the conclusion of my air raid install. I'm thinking about doing a giveaway for the S&B. If anybody's interested, let me know. I want to gauge if there's enough interest in it to bother with it or not. Otherwise, I'll probably just sell it. We shall see. Leave a comment down below. And let me know also what you think. Could you hear a difference? I'd be curious to know. By the way, no check engine lights. Also, real quick, I do have 2 additional channels. Rob Motive, all about my 2020 Toyota Tacoma. And Rob Motive FST, all about my new 2021 Tundra and my hunt for the upcoming 2022 redesigned Tundra. Check them out, and if you're interested, why not subscribe? Don't forget to click that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any upcoming videos. And do me a favor, smash that subscribe button on your way out. Thanks for watching. Stay safe out there.